Thanks for clicking on this video. You're gonna see my art process on how I drew this amazing 3D looking king's crown with this majestic king in there. Not that I should say that myself, but let's rewind the time. Alright, good morning everybody. Welcome back to another day of daily sketching. Well, actually it's Inktober, so we're gonna be doing that. I realized that the thumbnail, it might be better if I have it bigger in the thumbnail. I'm not gonna use the bottom half of it. You can't really see here, but you can see the top half of the drawing. We're gonna make the title pretty big as well, so I'm gonna just quickly write in the title, which is Crown. I want to focus more on the silhouette of things, of the drawings. You know, crowns and kings, they usually go hand to hand. So you can sort of see the architecture in the background. Let me just get the overall shape of the king so I can get the composition right. I'm imagining that he's facing sideways. Now it's just about getting in the shape. I am going to do this a little bit cartoony today. Imagine playing cards. They usually have like this 2D drawing style to it, and I wanted to show that in this drawing. And you know how castle building, they have crowns, and I thought this matches the crown of the king, and I thought that's a nice connection. Okay, it's a little kind of wonky, but that's okay, we'll make it work. Let's draw in the main guy, the crown and the king. I should have pulled up some reference, but I'm gonna go with the feel here. I want to have him like this nice curly hair. He's like a little bit of a younger king, I guess. When you want to show something is furry, it's really good if you just draw in the edge with like a nice stippling effect going on here. This way you can sort of see that it's kind of fluffy on the edge. So this is the fur on his neck. You know, I don't really know what those are, but you know, usually kings have those. So I'm going to show that here. So I want to accentuate his crown, shade in the edge of the silhouette that I want to show. Let's add some details in the building, sort of block in the blocks here. I'm not going to add in too much and make it noisy. So whenever I was talking about how can I integrate architecture and characters into my drawings, I thought I would always have to require them to be in an interior, but sometimes you want to show the exterior, and I couldn't really think of like a way I could do both. But I realized I could just show the portrait of the person and the character of the building in the back to show some sort of design. So another thing about a drawing tip is it's really nice to differentiate between thick lines and thin lines. This is actually very useful in architecture as well, where it helps with people to understand what's important and what's not important. And in this case, I wanted to show the crown, as that is the topic of today's drawing, and that's why we are here. Let me just go ahead and erase this. Why don't we go ahead and color? Today we're going to be using the gold. Now I want this to look a little bit shinier, so I'm going to try my best to just keep some parts white and keep some parts gray and keep some parts dark. Now it's important to just highlight the edges of the white parts. This usually allows people to get the sense that it's chrome like, and it's important if you have like thin and thick lines. I might have added one too many. That's a problem, but I think that looks okay enough. I'm gonna add some gradations between the dark and the brown here, maybe in the middle, just like that. Let's add in some in-between color, the grays here. In order for you to draw in like a chrome looking color or shiny materials, the key part is contrast and gradation. Let's imagine where the lights are coming from. That would usually give your drawings look believable. Let's pick and decide. I want him to have like a front-facing spotlight to show that the character is majestic. So I'm gonna darken the backside of his head. You can always use the Copic marker brush in a way to show texture. Textures usually come from your brush strokes, so you have to keep in mind what kind of textures could you put in. How can you change the way you use your brushes to show certain kind of feeling and material. That way you have contrast in your drawing. You don't draw everything the same way as you draw everything else, or else everything just looks stale and stagnant. There you go, that looks good. Let's accentuate the dark part, his clothings as well. Okay, and then I'm gonna show that it's like a bricklayer by just going sideways and leaving a gap between the brush strokes. I'm gonna lightly keep the edge of the man's face by not brushing over the lines. This way, it will give the character a nice glowing effect going on. The same thing over here. And let's go over with another marker sideways and highlight the blocky parts that I've made here. Let me accentuate just the edge here just a bit to show that it's in the shadows. Go ahead and just give it a nice cast shadow going on. This one too, right here. All right, what do you guys think? I think that looks pretty dope. I don't want to use the word dope, but come on, guys. This king looks majestic. I'm gonna keep the beard white. He's like one of those edgy kings, you know, with white beard but black hair. Is that a yay or nay? I don't know. I think it's a pretty much good yay. Why don't we finish it off with the title crown? I want to make it as thick as possible. Oh, I messed it up, didn't I? You know how like one of those old kings drawings, they have like those design thing going on here? I might have ruined it. Whatever, let's go with it. I think I ruined it. I'm gonna shade it in. That looks good. Let me bring in just a bit lower. There you go. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's Inktober drawing. I think it turned out really well, and the crown being accentuated alongside with the crown and the architecture and some shadows. I think this drawing turned out pretty 3D and it looks amazing. I think today's topic was rather easy because, you know, crowns and kings makes sense. But I think I figured out a new way to mix between characters and architecture into one drawing. And turns out, looks pretty good. I hope to see you guys in another video, and please check out my other Inktober drawings, day 1 and day 2. You know, figuring things out here and there, but I think it works.